Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I'm unboxing Arcam's 4-channel power amplifier, their P429. 90 watts by 4-channel, but this thing will do all sorts of configurations, enabling it to be a 4, 3, 2 or even mono block power amplifier, making this a dream for people who are trying to utilize it for stereo, for home theater, or even very high-end stereo performance in mono. Its configuration, of course, you could use the 4 channels for Atmos, you could use 3 channels to drive the front 3 speakers in your home theater, 2 channels to drive a very special pair of speakers or perhaps a very high-end zone 2, and mono block for that ultimate way of configuring either multiples of these in a home theater or any other configuration you may require. So let's have a look. Now Arcam, this thing is heavy. Despite its relatively small size, it's really heavy, signalling of course what's inside. Relatively muted boxes like all Arcam products. Brown box, black writing. Off to one end only, you've got model and serial number information and scan codes, and a bit of information of course of who's distributing it here in New Zealand. On the other end, very boring, bit of information. Opening this is very, very easy. Now chances are this has been opened by the New Zealand distributor and a New Zealand power cord added. But of course we're opening it as though, well, it's the first time, it's exactly as you will see it in your home. Okay. Now, first thing we do, just have a quick look, rock that forward. The first thing is a couple of protective cardboard sleeves which hold in place the various power cords. Now this particular one is useless in New Zealand, but this one is. This is a traditional IEC power cord. It's a 2-pin, so there's no earth, and of course 1, 2 protective sleeves. Arcam's user manual, by the way, is very renowned. They like to be as detailed as you can be, with lots of images and line drawings and other things. So setting one of these things up is really straightforward, and there's no uncertainty about how it may work. Of course, it means that the manual itself is pretty big by the time it's done in a couple of languages, but it's great to see a printed user manual of this quality. Not much else. Now, because this is heavy, I'm going to do my best to wiggle this out. I'd normally kind of try and flip the box, but the long sides make it kind of difficult. Nevertheless, off goes the box. Now the product has this closed cell foam. Like anything that's kind of heavier, traditional polystyrene may actually not provide the support required, so this closed cell foam provides a lot more impact resistance should this be given a hard time by a courier. Okay, taking that end off is really straightforward. Rocking it carefully to one side and removing the other side. Easy. Now this oversized bag is sealed with a big piece of sticky tape, and getting into it is very straightforward. There's a piece of paper here, and realistically, get rid of it. Sliding the plastic bag off is relatively straightforward. The amplification itself is quite balanced in its design, and we see a very muted, but I think very elegant power amplifier. There's not a lot to it. Having a look, you see it's just a simple switch at the front for power, a brand logo and model number, and look, an indication at the top of standby. That's it. But then that's all it needs to be. The magic is at the back, which we're going to see in a moment. By the way, it's relatively deep and quite heavy. There's a very large power supply sitting about here. Under the grills you can observe 2 cooling fans, and please hang around for some photographs because I'll try and get the lighting and angles right so you can see them. It's relatively deep, and it is designed to be approximately the same depth as their home theater amplifiers, enabling a nice simple stack if required, or if shelving is being utilised, all of a very similar depth. The ventilation is all towards the top because that's directly above the heat sinks. Turning it around, this is actually where you see the cool stuff. This is excellently appointed. Off to one side, we've just got the scan information about its serial number and a basic warning about the fact that you shouldn't open this. Don't stick your fingers in it kind of stuff. We've got an additional small fan and a small vent that supports it, and its IEC input. That's all the boring stuff dealt with. This is the fun stuff. Because this thing can be configured in all manner of different ways, we've got trim, toggles and switches associated with how you may wish to configure it. Firstly, we've got the trigger in and out for turning this unit on and off. Beside it is a network socket. Now, that is just for IP-based control and monitoring of its state. There's no software updates or anything like that. It's not going to sit there on the network and be quite chatty. It's just for control. And with it beside it, of course, is the RS-232 based control socket. The USB that's here is simply for software updates. However, it will provide a little bit of 5-volt output, so there's triggers or other things that may require power, and that's quite useful for it, but otherwise it's a software update. Now, this small switch, and please hang around, I'm going to try and zoom in on this, this is designed to help configure the amplifier and the combinations of amplification stages that it can use. So this switch implies the 3-4 modes, and if it's in 3-channel, it bridges one of the sets of amplification down, allowing, I don't know, about like 270 watts or something like that in stereo. Then you've got a little bit of trim enabling it to have a similar gain to some of the other amplification stages, and the myriads of inputs depending on how you're configuring these as well. So these are very simply labelled input 1, 2, 3 and 4. You've got the other trim kits for the other set of amplification, and this switch enabling us to choose between 1 and 2 channel mode. So with these switches you can take it from a 4 by 90 watt amplifier, a 2 by 270 watt amplifier, or in mono a 320 watt. In a 3-channel mode, I don't know, we'll work out what its wattage is another day. Configuring it from a binding post is also very easy, and it's worth noting just the quality of these. The build of these binding posts is excellent. Finger tight, very straightforward, good quality binding posts as far as taking bare cable, spades or bananas into them, and it's great to see on a relatively cost-effective power amplifier how wonderful it is to its flexibility and configuration, its ultimate power, and then the overall quality of the inputs and outputs that you will require. So, there we go. Arcam, their P429, 4 by 90 watt configurable power amplifier, unboxed here at the listing post in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.